So much Jessen slacked. Yes, we've seen LG try to widen their map pool. It was a big talking point on Hot Mic was slack, talking about the fact that you need to be solid in 4 or 5 of the hard points. Like, you can't have weaknesses on multiple or you're really going to struggle. And they've gone out of their way to try and play Valkyrie hardpoint more and more. And that's the the first map in this best of 5 we're going to talk about a bit. Chance for you in this one. We know John did not have a great Atlanta. Like he didn't. He struggled statistically, but he's starting to bounce back here and maybe look like John of old a bit. I think he started out something like 15-5 on this map.
I mean, at the same time, when we say like he didn't look great, they still got third. Like he still did a very, very nice job. It's just like the standard that he set himself or for himself in the Pro League was like, you are absolutely one of the best players, and he was still very, very good. There's no taking away from that. But was it really 0.8?
Yeah.
Was it that bad? Oh,
yeah.
Okay. Well, in that case, yeah, John looked good on Valkyrie. John looked great on Valkyrie. I didn't know it was 0.8. Yeah, I mean,
he had to hit a rough event.
I mean, JCap kind of took a lot of the limelight, though. I think it's fair to say, just because he stepped up massively. But no, this is the LG, or at least the John you expect to be able to see on this map. Had a fantastic game through and through. All of them did solid, and I know Octane even towards the end goes from like a decent performance to just like he flips a switch, and at some point, same thing on Force actually. It's like Octane is having a fairly decent game as expected, and all of a sudden towards the end he just goes on like a 7 or 8 kill streak, gets some streaks to his name. Then of course Maven likes to point out the 47-0 on smokestacks.
Yeah, but I think the bigger thing you have to point out is that scoreboard. I mean, you have 3 players once again with Splyce that are negative. You finally get a big game out of Jerd. I was very critical of Jerd. I feel like this is his game. He really needs to step it up. But then you have Tommy, Bance, Mad Cat. They don't all perform at the same level. So it just seems like we've seen that with teams in their struggles. 1 or 2 players will play well, then we'll go to the next match, and that'll flip-flop. It just seems like they can't all get on the same page right now.
Well, let's hop to the search. Yesterday, they were trying to play London Docks a bit more, not maybe their best search and destroy, and they were getting destroyed. But then you come to a map like this, Chance, and this is a map where you expect maybe LG to get back to form. We've seen them have impressive performances here behind maybe the sniping from Octane. Doesn't get much prettier, does it?
Well, no, I mean, this time it was like the sniping from Jerd we saw. A nice little 2-piece there, but I think even if you were just to break down Texas in terms of number of sniper kills gotten, the team that gets more generally is going to win. I'd have to imagine at the very least. And yeah, Octane, like, I'm sure he did okay, but he wasn't ever present, and Jerd made his presence known quite a few rounds, quite a few first bloods to his name. And then, of course, you saw like the 1v3 clutch that we saw from, what was it, Tommy, where he only really has to get 1 kill. But yeah, LG, they never really could get around outside of that first one to even look like it was really going their way. And the only time that they did, the 3v1, they just wasted a lot of time. And I think that's maybe a problem for LG on this map, is on offense. They just waste a lot of time trying to get the bomb down. And of course, a lot of times that has to happen because you have to bait out nades. You have to be concerned about the snipers. It's not easy to work around, but maybe LG will spice things up a bit, maybe go for a quick plan over by A, or just mix things up completely and go to B, or work in any number of different strategies that you have on Texas. But at least for this specific map, yeah, Splyce gave him the hands.
They absolutely did. The CTF, though, another one that LG's been trying to actively play in their last three series. They've gone to Flak Tower. I believe they've won all 3 now, Joe. What do you like about this particular CTF for a team like LG?
Again, sort of the pace that all 3 of those players should play out. Slacked, John, and JCap. If they're playing well, it's going to be very difficult to really beat this LG team. Now, you heard Slack say it in his interview. They really want to, who do they want to catch up to in the map pool? It's got to be Rise. And we've seen, though, in that other division, Rise is very good at Flak Tower. So, I mean, this is one where, yeah, maybe they veto like an Arden Forest against Rise. They'll try to play like a Flak Tower London Docks, but you imagine Rise Nation is just as good as those.
To be fair, though, like the second set of weeks for Division A, I feel like it was pretty much all Arden Forest.
No, definitely
Rise. We didn't see too much Flak Towers. Like those first 2 weeks we did, and then not a whole lot. So maybe that's what you're thinking if you're LG. You know, we see them playing Arden a lot. Well, you heard Slack say in the interview, we want to get them on some maps maybe they're not as comfortable with, and we can get a little bit of an edge. So I like that they're trying to do this, and when you're in control of a division like they are, you can do whatever you want. If it's practice you're looking for, if it's getting out of your comfort zone you're looking for, you can certainly do that. But you see, it was really in the second half where they started to take over there.
Yeah, and back to that first point, I mean, really, it's just, yeah, Rise might be a great Flak Tower team, but as you said, they've played so much Arden Forest where they show up to a Flak Tower, maybe just those little mistakes sort of seep through, right? We've seen it time and time again where a team is undefeated at a map. Then everybody vetoes it for a very long time. You come back to it, and they lose a couple just because they don't practice it as much, because they don't expect to play it.
That happened to Red Reserve on London Docks, where they go 14-0 and then fall off. I know Envy just in hardpoint in general, but especially St. Marie and Docks as well for them. They are 11-0 on Docks. Now they've lost the last 2. So, yeah, Merc brings up a huge point. You have to consistently be able to play all the maps. And LG, I think they have absolutely the best possible approach. And obviously, they had to go 6-1 in the first 2 weeks to even have this opportunity. But they're executing incredibly well. And this is definitely long-term going to benefit them quite a bit.
Well, we saw one European team in Unilad. They take all 3 respawns off Envy, and they're starting to look like they're taking control of a top 4 position. On the other hand, Splyce aren't able to take a single respawn in this one. Joe, we've been watching more of Splyce. Obviously, with us commentating in Atlanta, it's difficult to watch every single match as we're hopping around on Alpha, but are you starting to get any kind of inkling of what is wrong with Splyce right now?
Yes, and I have no idea what it is. And the only thing I can point to is the slang. I mean, that's just it. But even at this point, they're not down by much. Even here, they're leading. Everybody's playing pretty well. But then Luminosity is going to switch or make that switch. I don't know if it's the FG meta that's gone away, where Tommy and Mad Cat were very, very solid on each map. But I'm not exactly sure what's wrong with Splyce right now. It just seems like they're not clicking.
I mean, as a whole, it's incredibly difficult to pinpoint. Like, even for this map specifically, though, it's a little bit easier, right? Like, the Bunker Hill, I think Splyce had the full setup twice, and they just get broken twice. And, like, yes, LG just kind of stronged arm it, just picking up 2 pieces left and right, and different players going huge. But at the same time, you get early control of a hill where there's even the potential to get the full 60, and you get nothing out of it, and the opponent gets the advantage. That's LG not even having to win the rotation battle. Like, Slack even made the point of the interview. He was like, rotation is the most important thing. They didn't get him, and they still won. And it's worth pointing out, on the Ruins Hill as well, that LG wins that. There's a time where Splyce gets the full setup. We see Van's doing a great job of getting some kills, and then the fighter pilot comes in from JCap and kills 3. So the 3 best situations Splyce had to rack up the time. One time they get streaked out. The other 2 times they just don't execute.
And you heard Slack say it. He said when you rotate, the gunfights come easier to you. You put yourselves in better position. Maybe that's the issue with Splyce. Maybe they're not rotating because you know the talent on this roster. It's ridiculous from top to bottom. We've seen what they can do in the past, so maybe it's just those little mistakes where they're making the game just so much more difficult on themselves. Losing rotation battles are key.
All right, well, let's take a look at the schedule as we still try to figure out what